Hi everyone, my name is Ashley DeLuca and this is my action research presentation. I currently am enrolled in the Assessment, Teaching, and Curriculum program with a concentration in STEM, and I currently teach at South Mountain Elementary School, which is a part of the Northern York County School District. Due to COVID, virtual learning has increased and teachers are required to provide digital resources for students to learn from or with. Being able to determine these good resources that truly benefit student learning is crucial. Therefore, teachers need to be able to find, locate, and evaluate the digital resources in an effective manner. I was hoping to learn how to improve student reading skills using digital resources, how to evaluate a digital resource to improve student reading skills, and what digital resources would be most beneficial to improve students' reading skills. Overall, this project attempted to solve the problem of how to utilize digital resources in order to improve students' reading skills. My research question was, how can digital resources be used to positively impact student achievement in the reading classroom? Using digital resources for student learning is nothing that's completely new, but learning entirely online for most students and teachers is new. Even traditional schools using the internet for teaching and learning is now a common instructional tool. This goes to show that using digital resources is not new, but learning entirely online is. When thinking about using digital resources in reading class, I think of all those students who struggle with just reading a story in general, and now adding another layer to that, reading digital text by themselves, especially low-level learners. In my literature review, research shows that literacy today requires not only the comprehension of traditional print text, but also proficiency in 21st century technology. Thus, students being able to effectively manage the digital resources in order to be able to get the most benefit from the digital resource. In order for students to be able to benefit from the digital resource, teachers need to be able to find, locate, and evaluate these resources. However, research acknowledges that digital resources are positioned as a supplement to traditional literacy practices, but educators have been given little guidance about which digital resource could support literacy pedagogies and therefore improve student learning. Learning how to find, locate, and evaluate digital resources that truly foster student learning and determine what reading skills the digital resource would be that would be the most beneficial to improve student learning was the focus of my research. The first thing that I did was evaluate three digital resources that are widely used, which are Storyworks, Epic, and Newsela, sometimes pronounced Newsela. I evaluated the features of each, focusing on accessibility features, reading skill features, teacher features and resources, and digital layout. I then collected my data. I used my school's district benchmark assessment. This assessment is given 3 times a year. The components that make up the reading assessment include vocabulary, silent reading fluency, reading comprehension, and oral reading fluency. I used student scores of the most recent 4th grade assessment. Due to COVID, the students were unable to take the final assessment last year before moving on to 5th grade. I also used the assessment scores from their 5th grade assessments, which they took at the beginning of the year, to see where the area of need was most at and to see if there was any growth. One thing that my findings showed was that there was an overall growth from 4th to 5th grade. However, all of these students are well below grade level. The maximum score was 670 and a proficiency score is 456, and some of them were closer or are closer in 5th grade than they were in 4th grade, but they still are below level. Vocabulary showed growth from 4th to 5th grade. This is an area that with low-level learners, they need to continually practice. Although this is not an area of great concern because some of the students are very close to the proficient level, this is an area that with low-level learners will need to continually practice to grow their vocabulary and vocabulary skills. For the silent reading fluency, this was the area that I had the least amount of data. Some of the students were new, some needed other accommodations, some were due to COVID. This is an area where I feel ties closely to reading comprehension, but the data that I do have shows that there is no pattern. Some students showed growth while others did not. For reading comprehension, it surprised me the most. In my experience, reading comprehension has been a struggle for many students. To see that students showed growth from 4th to 5th grade and even had some close being to proficient is great. This is another area that students who are low-level learners need to continue to practice. Oral reading fluency shows growth from 4th to 5th grade year, but is the lowest area. Some students are close to proficiency, but majority of students are not. This shows this is an area that students do need to improve on. After I analyzed the data, I put all my findings together. Storyworks is the resource that would be most appropriate for students to improve their vocabulary and reading comprehension skills, but also would help students improve their silent reading fluency skills. It provides texts that are at student levels, provides vocabulary within a text that a student is reading. It's highlighted. There are reading comprehension questions throughout the entire reading. It focuses on specific skills, and teachers have lesson plans to go with each text that are meant to be adapted to fit your teaching style or to go with your teaching activities. EPIC is a resource that would be most appropriate for students to improve their reading comprehension and silent reading fluency skills. This resource provides a timer so students can set goals. Also, teachers can recommend books to students that are on their level, and students can start their own library. Newsela or Newsela is a resource that would be appropriate for students to improve their silent reading fluency skills. Texts are broken down into subject areas. Within the English language arts subject area, there are a multitude of stories, both fiction and nonfiction. This resource provides read-alouds of the text. It also provides provides the text in presentation mode. This allows for the students to not only be looking at the text they are reading, but not get distracted by other things that could pop up on their screens. All resources, however, would allow students to practice oral reading fluency if they were to read a text aloud. In conclusion, I learned that the areas of struggling readers was not what I expected. I learned how to evaluate a digital resource efficiently and how to utilize it to improve students' assessed reading skills in order to meet the needs of students. I also learned that Storyworks has a lot of beneficial resources for teachers and students that encompass each area of the assessed skills. This project impacts my role as a teacher and also could inform my school on knowing how to evaluate digital resources and knowing which resource to use when in order to improve individual students' achievement. Thank you for listening to my presentation.